is it's happening on both the House, so the representatives, as well as the Georgia senators, right, or the state senators. And there is a restriction on ownership and property. So many of you may be homeowners or family, maybe you aspire to be homeowners or small business owners that want to lease property, own property one day. So people are going to be like, well, maybe this doesn't impact us, right? Because it says these adversarial countries, and the countries list, you know, where's the list here? There were people from North Korea, right? China, Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, and Russia. And maybe you're like, well, how does this apply to me, right? But let's be real. We live in Georgia in the South and in the United States where there's been a rise against discrimination. And you've already heard the history of that. And that still continues to today, right? And that sometimes people may not, you know, may see us as individuals before we even introduce ourselves or our ethnicity. And so that's a challenge, right? That there could be possible discrimination against us, whether you're U.S. citizens, green card holders, or with status, without status. So that's something to think about, right? And then there's also pieces in the legislation that calls for like a felony conviction, $15,000 in fines, 1 to 2 years in prison time. And so if I'm being mistaken, and you know, what does that process look like, right? And then if there's like some concerns about what happens to my land, so say, yes, I'm in violation, but it was in, you know, not on purpose, and maybe I am from, you know, China, as one of the countries listed here, how would that impact me, right? What is that process? And it's so unclear. And so that's probably a lot of questions that our communities have. Right, but I think what it boils down to is there's this piece about the unclearness of all of this, and that it is targeting certain communities, and those communities are reflected here in this room, in our own communities, and all over the state of Georgia. Right, so what now? And so let's just open it up for questions and answers. I know maybe some things are unclear. This is a great time to ask. And so I'm going to invite AAAF, AAAJ, Tim, Arya, Rep Long, Tran to join us. Mahmoud, if you'd like to as well, if there's, you know, anything that you want to add in. But love to open the floor for questions. If you don't mind, I know we're kind of tethered up here. I'm going to ask that you just hold the mic up to your face so that everyone can hear you and project.